All right, well, good Monday morning to everybody watching and listening. It is a beautiful Monday morning here in Lubbock, Texas, and with us today we have our very, very special guest. We apologize. This man's a busy man. You got to understand, there's been a lot of things going on in his life recently. We're going to talk about that, but please let's welcome Abraham Enriquez to the studio. You like our lot? We have a live audience.
I like it.
They're watching over there.
I like it.
And also in the studio with us today is Cody Blair. Cody's always busy as well, but he came in on the pod with us this morning, and we're excited. But man, Abraham, thank you for joining us here this beautiful Monday morning, man. We're so blessed to have you. We know that you've been a busy guy. I went to your event at the Kidaloo Gym. Now that was like what, maybe 3 weeks ago?
It feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah,
but yeah, probably 3 weeks ago.
It was a while back. But one of the things that stood out to me about your campaign, and I loved it. I took a picture of it, as a matter of fact, in Hosea 12:6. Yeah. So you return to your God, hold fast to love and justice, and wait continually for your God.
Yeah,
I thought that was powerful.
Yeah.
Can you share with us what kind of because that scripture was big on a banner in right there at the stage.
I mean, when people do campaigning, they do big campaign slogans. You know what? Yeah. Trump was "Make America Great Again." Obama was a big hope guy. I don't know what the other presidents were, but everyone has like this campaign slogan. And for me, going into this, I realized, okay, what's going to be mine? And nothing was sticking, right? Because it wasn't my personality. And I'm a big like seasons guy. Like, what scripture do you have for this season of my life? And when I started this campaign, the one scripture I just kept going back to was Hosea 12:6. And that has become my entire campaign, my campaign slogan. Because Jacob, I think that government should not be that difficult. Right. It sounds pretty intense. It looks like it doesn't work. Right. I agree. I don't think it does. But Hosea 12:6, I think, gives us a good, just broad understanding of how government should work, line by line.
Right.
We shall return back to God. So Paul is like, what does God say about certain things? Maintain love and justice. I think we should be writing laws based on those two things, love, but also justice.
Yeah.
And then wait on your God always. So we should always remember that there is no law, there's no piece of government program, there is nothing that we can do that the church can do better. So when you as a lawmaker understand those three things, our government starts looking a lot like our founding fathers wanted it to. So day one, we decided that was going to be our campaign motto is Hosea 12:6.
And I think that there's so many people like in today. Okay, we're living in a progressive world, right?
Yeah.
Where Christianity is not what it used to be, and it doesn't have that same I guess you could say influence in politics like it did, even 20 years ago, or 30 years ago. But now you see where people are. There's this like, and I know you said it. We make it more complex than these, but there's this complexity to how do we navigate politics as a Christian?
Yeah. Because
we know that yes, America was founded on Judeo-Christian values, and our laws still are rooted in Judeo-Christian values, right?
Yeah.
But whenever we get into like, okay, here recently they did the 10 Commandments things in schools. Let's talk about that for a second, because there's a loophole to stuff like that, and I see how we can open up a door that seems like an opportunity for the church, but it could be an opportunity for other religions.
No, 100%. I mean, let's go back to kind of what you said at first, how our foundation as a country is the church. I'm a big, I'm 31 years old, but don't be fooled because there's young though. There's I know. The other day I got like someone asked me how I want to vote for you, but tell me like why I should vote for a 24-year-old.
You're like, wait, hold on.
Where did you get 24 from? I'm very proud to be 31. But look, I think, but there's a 71-year-old trapped in a 31-year-old body. I truly am an old man. Like if I can't be in bed, I'm in bed by like 9:30. So I like the study of history. I love the study of America. And you look at kind of our founding cities all across what is like New England, so like Quaker and Virginia, and the middle of a city was always surrounded by, like, established by a church, right? Mm-hmm. So a church was like right smack in the middle of a city. Mm-hmm. And I think that from the very principles of our founding of our country, the church was always kind of the basis of where ideas grew from. And then you started growing outside of the establishment of America, and the church started getting pushed away and away and away. I mean, luckily we live in West Texas, where every corner you turn, there's a church, right?
Yeah.
But
especially in Lubbock.
Especially in Lubbock. Yeah. I mean, and also in Abilene, which is in our district, I heard that there's more churches per capita in the city of Abilene than any other city in the country.
Wow.
Which stresses me out a little bit. We're trying to visit all churches in 2 months. You know, it's pretty crazy. But we should be blessed. We should consider ourselves blessed. Right. But going back to what you said about policy, so as a lawmaker, as someone that wants to write the laws of the land, you have to look at the consequences that come with that. Mm-hmm. So I always see it as, when I went to Abilene Christian University, so a private Christian university, and I got my degree in political science, and I was always taught and I was instrumented and educated in the laws that you write today. How can the other side use it in the future to counter what your beliefs are? And that has always really stuck with me because, as excited voters, we think of things like prayer in the classroom and the 10 Commandments in the classrooms as big wins, and those are huge things that we should advocate for.
Right.
But in 10 years from now, how can, and I hate to be so brash, but how can an agnostic group, a Satanist group, a Buddhist group use those same laws in the name of religious freedom to put their stuff in the classroom? So for that reason, I'm always a little bit cautious, right? So when that 10 Commandment bill first came out in the state legislature, in the state legislature, people were going crazy signing on to it, and I was a little bit like, I don't know if I want to.
Yeah.
As it sits today,
what's it gonna bring?
Because I always saw it as, my Buddhist friends or my agnostic friends, how can they use that 10 years from now and go against that work of putting the 10 Commandments in school?
Right.
And then in comes a Senator Mays Middleton, right? And he bulletproofs that policy to where it's only documents that our country was founded on. And I think that educates the voter because we weren't founded on Buddhist ideas. We weren't founded on agnostic ideas. We were founded on Judeo-Christian values. Right. So that only allows for the 10 Commandments to be put into classrooms. So we have to be very careful when we're talking about policies because we can get like crazy on putting a bunch of laws in, and then 10 years from now we're like, wait, how is that side using it?
Let me take that back. Let me take that back.
That's great to have.
Policy is always good in the sense that you're bulletproofing it to the basis of our founding of our country, and it's always Judeo-Christian values.
Man, so if we're going to move forward as let's look at this from a Christian now, because we are a Christian podcast, but if I'm going to go in and if I'm going to vote for, because you are running for Congress, by the way, we didn't say that. That's my bad, but you should know who Abraham is, man. He's got signs everywhere.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, name recognition, man. By the way, you guys are doing a phenomenal job. Shout out to your team.
Yeah, they're great.
Man, incredible. I had to do my research on all some of these other guys that I voted for, but man, when I got to, I was like, Abraham, easy going.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Thank
we
you.
did early voting, but hey, don't forget, when's the next?
Tomorrow. Tomorrow is election day.
Come on.
Last day.
Come on. So get out and vote. And I'm kind of changing subjects here, sorry, but I want to talk about voting for a second. You have done a lot of networking, like in grassroots, because you got other people that are just kind of sitting on a high platform saying, here's my name, I got all this. But man, I really admire what you're doing, because I feel like you're going into, you're going to communities, you're going to local churches, you're reaching your blue collar, hardworking people. And how's that been for you? Like, how's that been for your campaign? Do you feel like you're because people may have looked at you before and said, oh man, here's this 24-year-old looking guy, but now they're getting to know you and they're saying, hey, but this guy knows a little bit about what West Texas is about.
Yeah, it's been really humbling because I get to reintroduce myself to my own community.
Yeah.
As you know, Jacob, I was born and raised here.
Yeah.
What I love about
about the haboobs and all that stuff.
I know about the haboobs. I mean, we had to drive straight through one the other day with some special guests. I flew in from DC. They're like, "What are you doing living here?" I'm like, "Don't worry, it's just like a regular Tuesday for us. Right? Wake up,
all right.
bunch of dirt everywhere." Yeah. No, it's been great. Look, for those of you that don't, for your audience that doesn't know, for the past 6 years, I built an organization from the ground up that has brought in over 1 million new voters into our party. And all I did was just go into areas and communities that Republicans have never not even knocked a door on, not even left a flyer on. And what I've learned is when you knock on the door and you share your values, more often than not, people come over to your side. They just want a conversation.
Yeah.
And that has led me to become a White House advisor to Trump administration 1 and 2. And I've had the opportunity to move to DC, to Austin, and it just hasn't sit right in my soul, because coming back after traveling and doing all that crazy fun work in West Texas, I don't say that we don't care about that. We care about how you're doing as a person, like your heart, your soul, your mind.
Yeah.
In my family, when I come back, and for instance, when I had a really big event with the President of the United States, we did a big round table. I came back and they're like, yeah, we don't care about that. Like, how are you doing? Like, how's your heart doing? Like, did you go to church? Yeah. And for me, community is accountability. And I've always felt in West Texas, we're proud. We are very proud of all the great things that come from West Texas. Yeah. Look at Patrick Mahomes, right? Look at the Speaker of the Texas House is from Lubbock. Yeah. We love when good things come from West Texas, but more importantly, we love when our community steps in and supports each other. Yeah. I look at yesterday, we celebrated 2 years since the largest wildfire the Panhandle has ever seen. And that was community coming together and helping one another. We didn't wait for government to come and do that. We didn't wait for the governor to, call an emergency action. We didn't wait for the federal government. Our community came together. And so when the time came for me to decide, okay, am I going to move to Austin? Am I going to move to DC? I always thought, no, I'm going to lose the vision very quickly if I'm not grounded in community. Wow. And for me, West Texas has always been that community. So going around all 33 counties, not as a person that has lived here, but now as a candidate, has been really, really great, because now I get to introduce myself as like, hey, this is what I've been doing for the past 6 years. Yeah. Because I've been sharing the accomplishments, and for our people to know that from West Texas, great things can happen. That's been really, really humbling.
That's awesome. I want to say good morning to those that are watching. Pastor Josie Vargas, she's watching. She says, blessings, Abraham Enriquez for Congress. Also, we got Hugo. And then we have, Lacey. She said, go Abraham Enriquez for Congress. We support you and love that you continue our West Texas values. And then, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. West Texas here. Okay. So I went to your event, at Kulujan. Yeah. There was something that was said that I didn't know. Okay. I didn't know about this because I wasn't, and I want to share something. I'm gonna be transparent and maybe hopefully you'll appreciate this, but before I showed up to your event, I was the kind of Christian that thought church needs to stay out of politics. That was my
This was right before our event.
Right before your event. Okay. Yeah. Before your event.
Okay.
Your event changed my perspective on that.
There we go.
And it blew my mind. I think he used your campaign chair used Revelation 7 about the church of Thyatira that tolerated the Jezebel spirit. And I thought, wow, it just blew my mind because in a sense, when the church doesn't become active in politics, in essence, we're tolerating. And one of the things that we're kind of seeing, and I didn't know, was the insane growth of the Muslim faith in our state. Okay, not just in our country, but in this state. Texas has the most mosques out of all states. And then it hit home the week after that event because all of a sudden we have this old elementary school, the old Arnett Elementary School here in the Clayton Carter neighborhood, was turned into a mosque, but it's under the function of a community center. And I just want to hear your thoughts on that, man. Like how we're seeing this.
My thoughts are, it's your fault. I'm just kidding.
I knew you were going to say it. I knew you were going to say it.
No, well, first and foremost, like, if there's something good that's coming out of this campaign, there's a lot of good. There's a lot of good. Yeah. But it's the amount of people that are seeing that there's room for them in politics. Yeah. So let's backtrack a little bit. So the church is the largest grassroots organization in the country. There is no other organization that comes near even close to competing with the church. Yeah. You're talking about an organization, a system of people coming together once, twice a week in large numbers, getting influenced by many different people, all sharing the gospel. Now that's great. And there's people in DC that are very, very, very scared of the church getting involved in politics. Because do you remember that for 4 years under the Biden administration, we had this crazy thing where if men wanted to go into women's bathrooms, they could, right? And if children felt that they were a different gender one day, they could go and make life-changing decisions. We're talking about gender mutilation without the parental consent, right? And then we also had things like if a mom were to testify at a school board meeting because she didn't like what her kids were being taught, the government labeled her as a domestic terrorist. All of that happened in 4 years of the Biden administration. And guess whose fault was that? It wasn't the leftist Democrats' fault because they were honest about what they wanted to do. They told us, this is what we want to do. And we went out and voted for that. Well, I didn't. I don't know who voted. People went out and voted for that. And then it started happening and we were like, whoa, this is too crazy. The church stayed so quiet during that election because the other side was, he's too brash, he's too crazy, he tweets too many mean things, we don't want to get involved. And what happened later, years of, I think it's like, how many thousands of kids did we give into that idea of gender mutilation because we didn't like that someone was tweeting mean things?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have the luxury of sitting out of election cycles. No. The church, it's up to the church to defend those values every single election cycle. What happened this last election cycle? The church said, we don't care if he posts mean things. We're going to get involved because for the sake of our moms and our children and our church, we have to get involved. And going back to the mosques, 100% it's true. Texas leads in the amount of mosques being open per capita than any other state. And it should worry every Christian. And those that believe, in religious freedom, no, this is a religion that directly attacks evangelical values. Yeah. This is a religion that says if you are an evangelical Christian, you are an enemy to their religion, right? In my books, that's not religious freedom, right? That is terrorism. Yeah. And under the Biden administration, we saw 10 million undocumented people coming across our border. Now, people are going to be a little upset about this, but the media, all they showed was brown faces like me coming across our border, and they made it a racial thing, right?
Yeah.
I know firsthand that it wasn't a racial thing. It was 100% a national security thing.
Right.
I went down to the border when all this was going down, and the majority of people that were crossing over illegally didn't even speak Spanish. Did you know that? It's crazy. Yeah. And so then I went in toward the largest deportation center a year ago, which wasn't it's not in Texas, by the way. It's in Ohio. So I went in toward it in Ohio. What I saw was shocking. There was maybe a handful of people that were Hispanic, and the rest were all Middle Eastern and Chinese nationalists.
Wow.
So if you look at the 10 undocumented people that Biden let in across our border, first of all, the majority of them didn't speak Spanish. Second of all, majority of them came from Middle Eastern and Asian countries. Yeah. 96 of them, in one day, 96 of them were on the U.S. terrorist watch list. So all those people that Biden let in across our border illegally, I'm not trying to tug at people's emotions through race.
It's facts.
I'm talking about factually. Were 100% people that hate America, right? And were unvetted, meaning we have no idea who they are, where they came from. And now, all of a sudden, Texas leads in the most mosques being open per capita.
You see
a correlation, right?
Correlation, yeah.
And I think that should worry every single church, right? Every single evangelical believer, every single person that knows that our country was founded on Judeo-Christian values. The 10 years that we had under Biden led to the most mosques now being open in Texas because we're a border state.
Is this why we're in a position now where, and I don't know if we're allowed to talk about this, so I apologize if this is wrong or not, but, on the ballot, it talks about prohibiting Sharia law.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of Christians today that don't really know what Sharia law is.
Yeah.
Right. And I've had certain people message me and say, hey, what is this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's like Muslim faith. Like you got to be careful with Sharia law. And is there, if can you speak on that a little? Are you allowed to speak on that a little?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. I think, forget about voting for me. If you're going to do one thing this election cycle, go and vote against proposition that go and vote for the proposition that bans Sharia law. 100%. I think when people ask me what is the most important election on the ballot this election cycle, Most people want me to say it's me. It's not. It's the banning of Sharia law. Because I think that only then, I mean, let's talk about that community center that opened up here in Lubbock, right? In deep red Republican West Texas, we now have one of the largest community centers that's going to be teaching Muslim law.
Yeah.
The governor and our state officials can only shut down any practice of Muslim laws if the people vote against that, right?
Yeah.
Because once again, they know how to get around the religious freedom laws. So as Christians, we need to go out and we need to ensure that we safeguard our community, because the second that community center starts, sounding the alarm on Sharia law, that's where we need to come in as Christians and say, okay, no, the laws of the land don't establish that. So it's important. I think Sharia law, it goes against everything that evangelical Christians believe in. It shuts down women. It shuts down children. It prohibits the practice of any other religion. It goes against everything that the gospel share about, right? And so I think that as Christians, we need to be, the fact, we're in 2026, man. I thought that by now we would be talking about flying cars and teleportations. And
We'd be the Jetsons,
We'd be the Jetsons.
Yeah.
And we're talking about if Muslim Sharia law is bad.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
We're also talking about what is a woman?
What is a woman?
Right.
What is a woman?
I'm like, oh my gosh, this is where we're at now as a country. Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of obstacles have you run into with your faith involved with the campaign?
Yeah, luckily in West Texas, not a lot. If anything, I've put more pressure on the other candidates to speak about their faith. Right? I got told the other day that another candidate went to a breakfast meeting and he said, "I'm a Christian. I promise you, I'm being outfaithed by other candidates on this ballot." I'm like, that's sad. When you have to tell people you're a Christian in West Texas, that's a
red flag.
That's a red flag.
Yeah, I found
that's a red flag.
a lot of, not just this generation, a lot of people use God's name for their advantage.
Yeah.
When they're not involved. And how do you what's the question here? How do you keep God on top when you're so involved with everything?
Yeah, I think for me it's not. It's and I don't have this like crazy story of like I was here and God met me here. That's every day, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. God meets me every single day. Wow. I'm a flawed person, but I know that I run to Christ in every situation of need. But man, look, it all boils down to, I was raised in this. I was raised, my mom, she had me when she was 15. Mm-hmm. So she was juggling 3 jobs and school. So
shout out to your mom.
Shout out to mom. Shout out to Betty. For those of you that know her, she's a force. Yeah. So I was raised with my grandparents, right? And when I was 2, 3, 4 years old, 5 years old, I remember my grandparents starting a church. And so for me, prayer meetings in the garage, going and giving food to the widows, and going on, till today, every Thursday, my grandpa goes and visits all the people that are sick in the hospital, going to rehabilitation centers, rehab centers. That was normal to me. I thought everyone does this, right? So when we're talking about keeping God at the forefront of everything, that's just all I've ever been taught to do. And I'm very blessed that I experienced that and I was exposed to that at a very, very early age. When I started going to school and I started seeing other people's lives, I realized, not everyone's grandpa is a pastor. Not everyone does prayer meetings every single night. But for me, I count it as a blessing that I was, before anything else, the church was an instrumental part of my life. And the church has always been my 911. So when you are in distress and when you're in danger, you're told, pick up the phone, call 911, and rescue's going to come to you, come your way. And for me, I've always, in my mind, I was like, when I'm in trouble or when I need help or when I need anything, my 911 is the church. It's always been a part of who I am. And so people have asked, like, traditionally, Jacob, when you have a 1.5 to 2 year campaign, like a traditional campaign is about 1.5 to 2 years.
Okay.
The nature of how Congressman Arrington decided he wasn't going to seek re-election, it threw this into a 2-month campaign. So you have to know exactly what you're doing minute by minute, day by day to get this campaign across the finish line. Yeah. And, I have some opponents that ran to D.C. and ran to Austin and, they went to their big D.C. and political buddies. I ran to the church because that's what I know how to do. Mm-hmm. And within a couple of days, within the church network, we grew a women coalition and a student coalition and a church coalition. Like that's what the church knows how to do. Yeah. We know how to rapid response, right? Yeah. And so for me, I don't have an option to not keep God at the center of everything because that's all I know how to do. And if one day I step away from that, then I've lost my strategy because God is my strategy. Yeah. And if God says this is not for you, then it's not for me. So that's right. That's how that came to be.
I got a question for you, and I wrote it down because I thought, man, this is a good question, and I want to. I was like, okay, if I ask this, I want to make sure that it's at the right time. But is it possible to win politically but lose spiritually?
Oh yeah, man, I see that all the time. So look, this is really important for your audience to know. People always ask me like, why does government not work, or why do people like seem to not actually do what they promised when they get to DC? And I don't know how Congress works. In fact, I think it doesn't. But I do know how the White House works. As a partner to the White House, both Trump admin 1 and 2, I helped get over a dozen pieces of legislation get across the finish line. And I saw kind of a good bird's eye view of how Congress works in the sense of when people get there and they're ambitious and how their ambitious oftentimes leads to their destruction. So for instance, there are really young men and women who run for office, and they run on the right things, and they build community, and you know, they have a fight in them. They want to destroy the system from the inside out, and they want to return the power back to the people. And then they realize to run for Congress, you need at least $1 million, right? That's like at least minimum. It's crazy. It's insane, right? That is insane. And when you can only raise so much amount of money from per person, so for those for your audience members, you can only raise like $3,000 per individual, which is a lot of money, but also when you have to raise $1 million, it taps it, right? So then what happens? These big corporate lobbyists and super PACs and special interest groups, they spot really good talent. And they say, Jacob, I really like what you're doing in your community. I like your message. We believe in you. We're going to dump $1 million into your campaign fund through special interest corps and special interest PACs. And then here you are like, oh, wow, here's this boy from West Texas that just wants to do good. And you finally have $1 million in your bank account and you go and win this, right? And then you get to DC, and the first thing you want to do is, you know, do what you promised for your people. And then these special interest groups and these special interest PACs say, no. We got you across the finish line. Now you owe us what we want you to vote on. And then they give you your voting record. They give you your voting. Right? Exactly. Yeah. They tell you you're going to vote yes on this, no on that. I saw that with my own eyes. I saw people that I really loved how they campaigned on the ground. They got to DC and they weren't allowed to vote the way they wanted to. They weren't allowed to write the laws that they wanted to, because now they owe something to all these PACs that came and supported them, right?
We see that so much. We saw that so much when they were going through the budget.
Exactly.
Like the things we were supporting were just things that just had to be included to get what we wanted.
Like, oh, you like this? Yeah, well, bad for you. We care about this one, right?
Yeah.
And it's these foreign entities and these big corporations that now have a stronghold on these people who really want to do good, but because they accepted so much money, their community now gets sidelined and their special interest comes first. And so for me, I made the decision very early on, and it was hard, but not a single penny, not a single dollar has came in from special interest. Because on day one, when we get to DC, and I'm hoping the Lord gives us this big win, the only people we want to be held accountable to are the people of West Texas. And it's been hard, man. We've had to reject a lot of really good money, a lot of really good endorsements, because we want nothing that is attached to on day one, you owe us something. I hate that. I hate that feeling.
Right.
And, you know, there's another person in this race who raised $1 million, raised that $1 million that he needed. And you look at where the money comes from in these big, huge special interests. So we think that as a community, we're going to be, you know, champion. No, I mean, I hate to say it, there's big monies involved in this, and we want to be held accountable just to our people.
Go ahead, Cody.
I was going to say that's not just a political fight. That's a big fight for your faith too, because it's very tempting to take that.
Oh yeah.
But you know, you got to stay strong with what you believe in, and use that and believe in God to get you where you need to be without that.
But you know what? It is tempting, and it is hard to say no to it. But it's not hard when you have the community with you. So for the past 6 years, I've built a relationship with the community. You know, when life was on the ballot, I was out there knocking on the doors, making the calls, bringing the people out to the polls. When the decriminalization of marijuana was on the ballot, I was out there again making the call. I had a broken foot, and I was out there door knocking the day after.
I saw that.
So for me, like, I built a relationship with the community to where I don't need big money to do TV ads and mailers. I mean, we're doing a little bit of it,
Sure.
but I don't need to flood your mailbox or flood your TV on who is Abraham. The community already knows who I am, right? So I get to say no to a lot of that money because I've been spending time with the community so that they can do advocate for me, right?
Yeah.
I feel bad for the people that have never touched a grassroots meeting, a GOP meeting, a little LARW meeting in their life because they do have to accept that money because they do need, those TV ads because the community doesn't know them. Right. My community knows me, and so I get to say no to that big money because this has been my whole life, right?
It's almost like a sell your belief for instant success type of path, and you've taken the hard work. You've in a sense you've blue collared your way in this.
We have bootstrapped this from the ground
Let
up.
yourself do the talking.
From the ground up. We don't have the best looking ads. We don't have the nicest produced TV ads, but you know what we do have? We have a lot of heart in what we do. And when you have the 18-year-old who is voting for you for the very first time, to the grassroots praying grandma who's voting for you, that generational, I would say gap of support means a whole lot, and that's something that I think no other candidate has in this field.
Yeah, that's a vote earned, not a vote bought,
There it is, right there. It's a vote earned, not a vote bought. That's awesome. And so I want to go back to this because I had this on my notes here, and how when it comes to leadership, because you're an effective leader, and let's just call it like it is. You've grown, and I say you. I know that it takes a team, but as a leader, you've got to navigate how to, okay, I'm leading this group. You led Bienvenido, and I know that took a lot of work. It took good leadership, right? You don't just say, hey, this is my vision, execute it. You've got to be able to communicate. And you gotta have meetings. You gotta be honest. You gotta hold people accountable. You gotta do all these things. What would your message be to people? That say you're 31, right? 31. 31. Okay, so there's a lot of there's a generation under you, right? Under us, because I'm still young. No, I'm just kidding. I'm 34, but but there's a generation under us that is looking to people like you, and they're saying, how can I to step into a role like this as a leader? Because a lot of people will look at 30-year-olds today and say you're too young, right? I mean, I'm sure you've heard that a lot in your campaign.
A little bit. We've got a little bit of that.
But as a leader, how do you step into this role and know, like, okay, this is what God has called me to do? Because I think that's the difference, right? Between that sets you apart from these other guys. Is it's not just a matter of I'm doing this because I want to be in a position. I mean, your faith is rooted in what you're doing, right? Yeah. So how do you communicate this to maybe a generation that, in other words, how do we get the young Christians to say, hey, it's okay to be involved in stuff like this, and you can even get into a position to be involved and still hold your faith?
I guess for me, I've never been a fan of the whole wait your turn mentality. Yeah. Because I saw what that has done to so many good people with great talent, and they've been sidelined. And whether that's with my personal family or with friends, that wait your turn mentality, I think, it goes against everything that Scripture tells us. That if we're righteously made in His image, why on earth would you tell someone wait your turn when they have something that you probably don't? I feel really weird when people tell me about leadership because I mean, you have to know that you are some kind of leader if you're running for Congress, right? Right. But for me, I see it as a team. Like it sounds so cheesy, but like truly a team builder. Because I don't have the answers to every question. Right. God knows I don't. I know what I'm really, really good at. I know what I'm an expert in. Yeah. And then areas where I don't know, what I'm good at is I know how to bring the experts around the table. So, for instance. When I became a part of the Domestic Policy Council at the White House, I remember when President Trump wanted to renegotiate NAFTA to what is now USMCA. I don't know anything about trade with Mexico at 24 years old, but I know how to find the people that do cross-border investments. Yeah. And I called them up. I'm like, hey, you have no idea who I am, but do you mind taking a meeting with the White House? And of course, when you say that, people are like, okay, yeah, sure. Then next thing you know, I'm that one little annoying guy that brought 10 businesses to the White House to advise President Trump on renegotiating NAFTA to his now USMCA. And then they said, okay, if you did that, then help us like, set up the Religious Freedom Commission, right? When President Biden was directing the FBI to see religious organizations that had pro-life clinics and they were on the FBI watch list, President Trump wanted to dismantle that. I don't know anything about opening up a pro-life clinic in a church, but I know church leaders who do. And I brought 10 pastors who had pro-life ministries to the White House. Like, here you go, President. So I know how to bring people into the fold. When COVID happened and President Trump wanted to reopen the schools, but he wanted to know how that was going to affect rural schools, I brought 10 teachers from rural communities to the White House. Like, here you go, And so as a young person, you need to be okay with knowing you don't have all the answers.
That's good.
And that's great because that's less pressure on you. Thank God. Because when things go wrong, I can say, I just brought the people, right?
Hey, man, I was going to them.
That's going to them. But what you do need to do is you need to open up your network and go and seek out the experts in your community. Mm-hmm. And you can only do that when you have community. And what is community? That's church, right?
Come on.
So for me, my politics comes from two people, my barber and my pastor, because those two guys they see a wide range of people walking through the doors day in and day out. So I always love talking to my pastor like, hey, do you have a farmer in your congregation? Do you have a school teacher? Yeah. Do you have a businessman? Do you have, and when you start opening up your network, you become an asset to your community, right? Could you imagine if at a young age, you're the person that people say, oh, that guy or that girl, he has such a big network. We're going to use them, whenever we have questions about this or that. And I think that's that's what's made me so successful, is just being open to meeting new people. I also think it's important to know that, Jeremiah says, don't let anyone look down upon you for your youth.
That's right.
I convinced several voters during this campaign season about how it's okay to vote for a 31-year-old because, at 31, my good friend Charlie, who was assassinated, Charlie Kirk, he opened up the biggest grassroots organization in the country, and he was just 31 years old. Mm-hmm. At 31, actually at 32, Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence, a founding document that our country uses to understand our rights. And at 33, the man that I try to be like every single day changed the world when he was walking the old streets of Jerusalem, which was Jesus Christ.
Come on.
So I think that when you're young and you're willing to be ambitious, I think that's actually a strength, right?
I think it speaks volumes myself. Standing up and when you're young,
absolutely,
it's way more
not easy.
No, it's way more challenging.
Yeah. But I think you go into it understanding I don't know all the answers.
Yeah.
But what I do know is I know how to find the experts and build something good together. Right. And that's policy. Policy is when you bring people of different backgrounds together. You find a problem, you seek the solution, and good things come out when the community comes into place. But I've been traveling all these 33 counties. I don't know the answers to healthcare policy or tax policy or rural water, but what I do know are the people that it affects day in and day out. And I know how to bring them together and say, all right, how does this affect you all? And how are we going to, piece this puzzle together and get across the finish line? And I think when Congress works that way, things happen for the betterment of the community. Yeah. Too many times our people get to D.C. and they rely on these lobbyists in D.C. cubicles to tell them how to do policy, and they forget the biggest policy leaders and the biggest policy experts are in your own community. Just go and speak to them, right? Yeah. So I think that's what makes me different. I think that millennial Gen Z idea of go down with the system and let's go to the community is, I think, what gets me excited about politics. Is that younger people are saying, no, we don't want the old school way. We want a new way of doing it.
And would you say that those two generations, millennials and Gen Z, we're not looking at platform anymore. We're looking at transparency. We're looking for authenticity. We're looking for somebody that's going to be real. And I'm not necessarily being talked to or talked at. I'm being talked to. We're having a conversation and I'm connecting with that person. Because you see, especially, and dare I say this, but man, I mean, you even see this in churches now today, where sometimes it like you see church leaders and they look like they're hard to connect to, right? And then you have church leaders, man, that are like, I'm gonna go shake your hand. I don't care, what you look like or how you are. And I say that in regards to, it doesn't matter what size of church you see. I've seen that in small churches where some pastors have the celebrity mentality, and then you've seen large churches where that pastor's going to go shake your hand. He was just on that platform. Now I'm going to go shake your hand.
Yeah.
So there's like a sense of of humility that I think our generation is looking for, right?
100%.
And you kind of touched base on that when you were saying like, hey, you know, I don't have all the answers, but I know people that do, that have the answers to this and that. They're experts. So it takes I guess you could say it takes a lot of humility to say, hey, if I'm going to be an effective leader, I gotta be honest with myself and know that I don't have the answers to all the questions.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
I think what's really important for people to know is that in either 2020 or 2022, someone needs to fact check me on this, it was the first time in an election season where Gen Z and millennial voters outpaced baby boomer voters, meaning people under the age of 40 could decide an election. And for years and years and years, it was all the 60, 70, and 80-year-old people that were deciding the elections. In 2020 or 2022 was the first time anyone under the age of 40 decided the pathway to our country.
Yeah.
And people always saw like, oh man, those voters are going to turn this country blue. But we didn't. And it was all because we weren't afraid to ask questions.
Yeah.
No, like don't tell us how to vote. Tell us why we should vote for you.
There it is.
Tell us why.
That's the transparency part.
Yeah.
I personally, I would like to be told the truth, even if it's ugly. You know, like even if you don't want to hear the answer, don't sugarcoat things for me. Tell me flat out what it is, and that's what we look for. You know,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think you look at this new wave of political leaders, both on the Democrat and Republican side, whether it's an AOC or Congressman Brandon Gill, right? Democrat. These are young people who are just flat out, just honest. Like, this is what I know. This is what the government's keeping from you. And you have the establishment machine against them, but their people are so for them, right?
Yeah.
And I think that when you're willing to say, I don't want all the glitz and glamour and money and this and the PACs and the support, because I have my community support, you have the confidence to go in there and say, no, this is what the government's getting wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
And while I don't agree with AOC at all, there's some I would say inspiration in how she has her community support, and it comes with her being fully transparent and a lot of stuff that she doesn't know, which there's a lot that she doesn't know, right?
Right.
There's a lot not going up down there.
A lot.
But like a Congressman Brandon Gill, there's some great of like he's sounding the alarm on the Muslim takeover in Texas. And there's a lot of people that don't like that, right?
Yeah.
Because we're supposed to be complicit, we're supposed to be soft, we're supposed to be nice.
Right.
And he's like, nice is what got us into this mess. Nice is going to get us out, right? So I think it's important to as a young leader say, I don't know all the answers, but it's okay because I don't have to. And I have found a lot of peace and knowing like I'm not an expert in this situation, and thank God, because now I'm not held accountable to what to those deciding makers. I'm just bringing in people that do know.
Yeah.
But I think it's good to know that in West Texas we have such great diversity of thoughts of leaders that you can rely on.
Yeah.
For those questions.
So in this campaign that you're in right now, I want to say good morning to all those that have been watching. I forgot to say good morning to our live audience. We got a lot of people. Yeah, well, I forgot. This is a live podcast here, so I just want to.
I like this. This is pretty cool.
Yeah. I know we got some people watching. Esther, she's my cousin. She says Sharia law is on the ballot this midterm. Make sure to let your voice be known about it. That's right. We can't let this go through, and we got to stand up as the church. I thought I saw somebody else here. Val, I know I saw Valerie right there. She said, we need to stand up and be bold. Yes. Shout out to Val. And then, we got
You got quite a bit there.
Yeah, we got, she said, Esther said, present your valid Texas. That's all. Go vote tomorrow if you haven't. Plus, many are praying and fasting today and tomorrow because this midterm election is absolutely vital. Yeah. Many important propositions on the ballot. Many representatives. Come on, church, get out and vote. If you haven't already, come on. We got to get out and vote. And then, Vallejo Flooring and Tile. Shout out to them. Good morning. He said, thank you for breaking that down for us. I guess he was talking about Sharia law. Get involved and connected. Awesome. Well, hey, we thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget to share this if you guys are on there and tag somebody, because this is an awesome conversation that we're having with Abraham. So Abraham, before I know I've got about 15 minutes and I don't want to take your time because I know you're a busy guy, but whenever you first decided to run in this for this election, man, was there a kind of like a sense of like fear almost in to a degree? Like,
man, every
should I
day
be doing this.
every day. Every day, man. I have, but I think that's what makes me excited about it is that I truly have given everything to this.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna fight tooth and nail to ensure that we leave it all on the battlefield, right? But it's not fear of anything like bad. It's more so fear of, man, I put my entire like down payment of a new house into this race. Like, that kind of fear, right?
Yeah, that is a lot. Yeah.
But if you care about something so much, how can I get you to be a part of something that I'm doing if I'm not showing you how much I believe in myself, right? Yeah. So my own investment, my own time commitment, I think it's a testament to how much I believe in what we can do together. Yeah. So it's fear in the sense of, if we lose, this is so embarrassing, you know, like not in a bad way, but I got all these people excited. Yeah. Fear of, I'm trying to, as I'm speaking, I'm putting it together. This is what I'm fearful of. I'm fearful of the fact that I am nervous that our country and our state, I just love Texas so much, man. I really do. I love Texas so much. And Texas holds the key to the entire nation. You cannot get to the Oval Office. You cannot get to the White House without Texas. Yeah. The electoral muscle that Texas has, if we lose Texas, there is no Republican that can ever win the presidency for the next century, I say. I'm not being over-exaggerated. I'm saying that's how powerful Texas is. Yeah. And every election cycle, Jacob and Cody, every election cycle, the votes from Dallas and Houston and Austin and San Antonio and Fort Worth, they all come in. And if you're like me, you're sweating in front of the TV screen thinking, like, is this it? Yeah. Is this where Texas finally goes blue?
It felt a little close this past election.
Every election cycle gets a little closer and closer. And then thank God that Lubbock comes in, Abilene comes in, Slayton, Plainview, Levelland, Big Spring, and this little part of Texas that oftentimes gets disregarded, we outweigh all of those big city votes. Yeah. And what I'm fearful of is that our people of West Texas get too complicit and be like, oh, you know, we're going to be okay. Mm-hmm. And then if one of these cities in West Texas goes blue, that's it. That's enough to completely turn Texas blue. Yes. And you know where these socialist, these socialist Democrats are looking? They're not looking in New York or LA or Miami. They're looking at Lubbock and Big Spring and Plainview and Levelland because they know if we can take one of these cities down, that's enough to a domino effect. Because once the Democrats go in, once blue ideology goes in, to get them out, it's almost impossible. Yeah. So they're not looking at these big races. They're looking at our city council races. They're looking at our school board races. They're looking at, our mayor's races. And if we as a church aren't ready to take on those fights, we can say goodbye to Texas. So I'm fearful that all these new voters that we're bringing in, are we going to keep them in? Are we going to keep them engaged? Are we going to keep them voting? Yeah. And it's not about a party. It's not about a person. It's about values. And right now as we speak, there's only one party that champions our values. Will it change in the future? I don't know. But for right now, this party stands for biblical Judeo-Christian values, and that's the party that I'm going to subscribe to.
Absolutely, 100%.
And I think we need to understand the power that we have as voters. And for those, what I hate about our community is that, not hate, what I get so stressed out about our community is this mentality of, oh, my vote doesn't matter. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And man, that is the exact lie that the other side wants us to have. I feel like
that's been changing a lot in the last recent years. I hope so. I don't think that's a lot of mentality that they used to have. Like, I'll leave it up to everyone else because it's just going to go that way anyway. But I think a lot of people are more fired up now than they used to be.
When you look at these like proposition elections, when you look at the school board and city, they're decided by a handful of people. Mm-hmm. So can you imagine if that mom that thinks, my vote doesn't matter, or that dad that's like, it'll be okay. I would hate to be that one person that Sharia law is allowed in Texas because 5 people didn't go out and vote, and I was one of those 5. You know?
Yeah,
so
everybody makes a difference.
So I think we need to put some priority in our community. And if you go to a church, and I'm as brash as to say this, if you go to a church that your pastor is not encouraging you to go out and vote, not for a specific person, but just go out and vote, and is not explaining to you what's on the ballot, then you need to go find another church. Ooh. You really do.
That, you know what? I think that's a cause for how how do I say this? Let's encourage pastors, right? Maybe because I think there's pastors here in Lubbock that are probably like, I don't want to talk about politics because it's divisive, but wouldn't you say, and I think we could all agree that as a Christian, it's our spiritual responsibility to go out and vote.
Or get spiritual responsibility. Do you want to go to jail? Let me tell you why. Let's talk about it.
Come on.
Right now, President Trump has turned back any law that prohibits a pastor from flat out endorsing behind the pulpit. Just as a pastor, you are allowed to do that. Am I telling you to do that? No. That is totally up to you. But let's look back at 2008. Do pastors remember when Obama, if you were sending tithes, if you were sending money to Israel,
yes,
you were now audited.
Yep.
And your finances were now penny by penny seen by the federal government. Also, if you were a pastor that was preaching against same-sex marriage, you were now labeled as hate speech. And you had to turn in your preachings to the government, right?
I remember that.
Also, under Biden, if you were a church that wanted to have a pro-life ministry, you are now under the FBI watch list. I mean, I can understand a pastor not wanting to endorse behind a pulpit. I get that. But for you to not tell your church to go out and vote against a government that's going to be against you, well, then now you're setting yourself up for failure, man. Yeah. Truly. And right now, there is no law on the books that prohibits a pastor from telling your congregation to go out and vote. Can
you say that one more time for any pastors and leaders that are watching this?
Yeah, well, no. I mean, if you are scared that the government's going to come after you because you are supporting a candidate or a proposition or telling your pastor to go out and vote, there is no law currently right now that prohibits you from doing that.
I think that era, I think it got a lot of churches like this. Like I'm just not going to talk about it. Like let's just kind of move on from here. Almost it's like let's avoid this because there's too much there's too much history with that. But we got to stand up and we've got to go out and vote tomorrow. We've got to get out. Look, if you haven't voted yet, please make plans tomorrow. Tell them, Abraham. Tell them.
Make plans to go out and vote. March 3rd. Polling start open about 7 a.m. They close at 7 p.m. You have all day to vote. Stay in the lines. It's worth it. This should encourage everyone. Every single day, the government tells us what to do. How fast we can drive our cars. Sometimes go a little faster than expected.
I kind of break that law every now and then.
They tell us how fast to drive our cars. They tell us, in some cases, how much water we can use a day. The government tells us every single day how we should live our lives. On election day, it's the only day that we get to tell the government, this is what we want. And so take that stand, take that right. Yeah. Also to my fellow brothers and sisters in faith, the church, I want to say this again, the church is the largest grassroots organization in the country. There is no other organization that is stronger than the church. And there are people in high offices and high power that are scared to see the church awaken. And they're going to do everything to undermine, to oppress, to scare. The church is staying out of politics. Yeah. But the second the church binds together, they win every single election. Yeah. Can you imagine the people in DC, once they start realizing the church is awakened, they're going to start tailoring their policies to what the church needs. Yeah. And I'm ready for that. I'm excited for that future.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to what God is going to do with the church if we will answer the call. Mm-hmm. And the call is God has given the church an opportunity to wake up, smell the coffee, and say, "Hey, you have an opportunity to do something about what is happening in our nation and in our culture, in our society, even in our own town. Here in West Texas." But let me say this, and Abraham, you can tell me what you think about this. But I think one of the reasons why the church has lost its luster or its impact is because, in essence, we've lost the discipline of what it means to be a Christ follower. And really, biblically speaking, Jesus didn't commission the disciples to make Christian members, right? Or volunteers. Ultimately, he said, you got to go make disciples. And would you say that maybe that is part of the reason why the church has lost its drive and passion to be a light even amongst politics? Would you say that is because we've marginalized church to a Sunday and a Wednesday, and we've created and I say we, not us particular, but just in America, we see the church has become so the gospel's become so watered down to like now it's you're a Christian, right? I'm a Christian. People call themselves Christians, but their lives speak otherwise. And Cody kind of touched base on that. Everybody's coining that term Christian, but what does it mean to be a disciple? Because really, that's what God is looking for, right?
Yeah. I think I agree with you. I agree with you that we've watered down the gospel in hopes of we don't want to alienate everyone. We'd rather everyone feel good than not come to church.
Tailored it to ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah. And for me, I think that's what has gotten us to where we're at today, where there are churches that believe you can marry, same-sex couples. And if a child wants to go through some gender confusion, it's okay. They'll grow out of it. The church has always been a lighthouse where you're in the middle of a storm. Yeah. That could be family chaos. That could be personal struggles. That could be addiction. That could be your storm. And you always go to the lighthouse in hopes of being rescued. And right now, the church has some churches. Luckily, no one in West Texas, from what I believe.
Come on, West Texas. We got some good churches here.
We got some great churches. But church as a whole, I think they've turned down the lights, and they've been a dormant lighthouse to where people in the middle of their chaos, they go and they still haven't found rescue. Yeah. I think whether it hurts or not, you gotta speak the truth. And for me, that's the reason why I've stayed in Lubbock my whole life, because I did go through quote unquote a rebellious stage a year ago where I said, Mom, Dad, I'm leaving Lubbock. I'm going to Dallas to pursue the big city, big dreams. And that lasted 4 days, man. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, by Monday I was already back home. And a lot of the reason was I went to a church that Sunday, and it wasn't even a big church. It was a pretty small church. Mm-hmm. And I looked around and I said, okay, if I miss a church service today or next service, like it's going to take a month before anyone even bothers to notice that I'm gone. If I miss a church service back home, by that afternoon, I have people calling me like, where are you? What did you do? This is what you missed. And it goes right back to community is accountability. And when your church isn't your source of accountability, then that leads to a whole world of destruction and chaos and confusion. Mm-hmm. So there's been times where my pastor has sat me down and say, hey, Abraham, you're not going to like what I say, but A, B, and C. Mm-hmm. And that corrects me. Yeah. And I have found that correction in West Texas. Yeah. And the second our church stops becoming that source of accountability, whether you are scared of losing a member or not, trust me, that member in their times of chaos is always going to see your source of hope as the lighthouse, and we always need to be resourceful in that sense.
That's so powerful, man. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that's exactly what's going on with the churches today. Is they've changed the definition of love.
Yeah,
love is correction. In that state of you're doing something. I got to tell you about it. Yeah. You're veering here. Yeah. Love is not, it's okay to be that way. We love you anyway. We've changed the definition of love from what it is. And
well, also maybe it's us that we were like born in like Hispanic homes where love is like
love was a slap in the face.
Love is a slap in the face.
Literally, man.
Love is a slap in the face. I love you so much. You're going to hate what I'm going to tell you, right?
But that's what it is.
That's what it is. Well, Hosea 12:6. Maintain love and justice. We forget the second part of that. We're always like, love. Justice doesn't sound and feel all that great sometimes.
Justice is not always.
I'm not going to let you turn that way. That's love.
That is love.
Even if it's throwing my sandal at you.
I like what you said, and then we'll close out here. It's about an hour, man. I appreciate you being here, Abraham. We thank you so much.
We'll be back for sure. This is fun.
Yeah, man. We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you. You said something that really blessed my heart. You said, I have a pastor, and shout out Pastor Johnny, right? Pastor Johnny.
I have a lot of pastors. Yeah, I'm a church hopper nowadays.
Pastor Tody. Shout out Pastor Tody from Trinity as well. Because, man, okay, I know, I've heard that Pastor Tody will get up on that pulpit and he'll just say it like it is. And that's love. That's truth in action. Yeah. Doesn't matter. I mean, I have family that goes to Trinity and they're like, man, Pastor Tody went in and some people didn't like that and they got up and walked out. But they're like, that's the kind of pastor you want, man. Like, this is going to tell you the truth. I mean, praise God. And I agree with you, man. There's a lot of churches here in Lubbock where you have pastors that are very bold and just going to tell you like it is, but not because it's heartless. Matter of fact, speaking of Pastor Tody, he said something, and I don't know if he quoted this or if he got this from something, but it's powerful, and I love it. But he said, and I hope I don't butcher this, but he said, love without truth. Love without truth is hypocrisy, and truth without love is brutality.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Yeah.
wow. Like
Yeah.
that it changed my whole perspective on how to be truthful to somebody. And dude, I heard that, man. I was like, God, that's
like that video you posted with that.
Yeah.
I don't remember the pastor or anything, that one that you posted on Facebook where he's like, if you are living in sin like this, you are not saved.
Yes.
I hate to
Adrian
break it to you.
Rogers. Adrian Rogers. I used to listen to him in the mornings, man. We need more of that. And it's accountability. Like you were saying, I wanted to go back to that. You said I have a pastor that holds me accountable. And like that's what we need. We need accountability. But I feel like there's people that take accountability as judgment. That instead of it being accountability, it's, well, you're judging me. Oh, no. I'm holding you accountable. I'm trying to get you to understand this and so much wisdom, in accountability to say, hey, tell me when I'm wrong.
Also, like as a member, I'm sorry, I've just gotten to the point in my life where like, grow up. And in a way, let me tell you, in a way, you're going to be judged sooner or later.
Yeah.
I mean, when the Lord calls you from this earth, you're going to see your Maker either as a friend or a judge.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wait. Say that again one more time.
You're either going to see Christ as a friend or as a judge. I would rather much my pastor see me as a judge here
Jeez.
and have Christ as a friend than the other way around.
Yeah. That's a mic drop.
No, seriously.
Come on. No, seriously. Yeah, where's my air horn? Hold on. I gotta.
There you go. Seriously.
That's a drop,
I'm
man.
okay with my pastor us having a little bit of friction sometimes, right? If it means that Christ is always going to see me as a friend.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we forget that God has placed our pastors in our life to not always be our best friends. Sometimes they're going to say some things that are going to hurt us a little bit, but it's okay. Because that only means that your friendship with Christ is going to grow stronger because through him, through your pastor, you're seeking accountability.
Yeah.
And so, man, I would rather have an hour that I'm mad with my pastor because he told me some hard truth to know that my Christ is still my friend.
Yes.
Then I'll have a friendly pastor who's not going to call me out when things are wrong. And the day that I see my Maker, he's going to be like, well, let me tell you.
Since your pastor didn't do it, I'm going to have to tell you.
My Lord, I would rather much have my pastor have a little bit of friction for an hour or so. We'll be okay next Sunday, right?
He's going to be one that you run to the next time, though.
But next time I have questions, I know he's going to be giving me solid advice.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
All right, now we're preaching. We need the organ. We need all that. Man, I'll go ahead and close out because I'm having too much fun here. But Abraham, I appreciate you being here, man. Really enjoyed having you. I want to say shout out to your team. Shout out to my brother-in-law Noah. He's in the studio. I know that he's been. Yeah, man. Yeah, we got to. Where's the cameraman? No. Hey, real quick, Abraham, can you remind everybody what time voting starts?
Yes. So tomorrow's day of voting. Again, the government tells you what to do every single day. Day of voting is your day to tell the government the direction that you want to see your community and your country go. So tomorrow, Tuesday, March 3rd, I encourage everyone to go out, go vote. Polls open up at 7 a.m. They close at 7 p.m. So long as you are in line by 7 p.m., you can wait as long as you want to vote.
Come on.
The line is worth it. You can go to AbrahamEnriquez.com. On all our social media pages, we'll have every single polling location available for you.
Abraham
Enriquez.
Enriquez.com.
.com.
Did I spell that right? I can't
Yes.
see. Okay, perfect. Website is posted in the comment section if you're watching on YouTube, or if you are watching on Facebook. You can also go back and listen to this Spotify, Apple, anywhere you get podcasts. It'll be up here in another couple hours if you want to go back and listen. Incredible conversation that we had with Abraham Enriquez. I don't want to put you on the spot, but can you pray us out? I know you're a preacher, man. You went and preached the other day at a church, man.
Yeah, I'm preaching every Sunday.
Yeah.
Is it good? I don't know, but I keep getting invited. So
hey, man, pray us out if you don't mind, man.
Father God, we thank you for the day that wasn't promised. We thank you for the gift of community and of friendship. Lord, I ask that this conversation it be a blessing to someone. Let it be encouragement for us to always follow your lead, Father, and always bring your kingdom down to where we're living. Lord, I ask that you give us strength, Father, for the battles that are ahead of us, and let us know that we are fighting for the goodwill of your word, Lord. Let us always keep reminded of the vision ahead, Father, which that is to bring your kingdom down in each community, Father, and let us always never grow tired of spreading your gospel in every corner of every city, of every community that we have, Lord. In your blessed name we pray. Amen.
Amen and amen. We hope that you are motivated today. Hey, I hope that you're motivated to go and vote tomorrow.
Yes.
But be motivated today. God bless you. Don't forget to live, love, and lead by example. God bless.
That's good. Thank you, guys.